And speaking about faces of the company, we've got to talk about a man, a professional wrestler, a legend killer, who recently had his wrestling birthday. Randall Keith Orton, Randy Keith Orton, RKO, is now 20 years in the business, ever since he made his debut back in 2002 in that backstage segment with, I believe, Stacy Keibler and the chairman, speaking of the chairman, Mr. McMahon. And then he had a match against Hardcore Holly. And guess what? He won that match. And Randy Orton has gone through ups and downs throughout his career. I mean, there are so many backstage stories. There are so many people out there, so many wrestlers, former wrestlers, current wrestlers, that have mentioned that in his earlier years, Randy Orton was a grade A asshole. He got on your nerves. He made it a point to get on your nerves. He had backstage heat all over the place in WWE. And yes, he was a part of Evolution. Triple H saw something different in Randy Orton. He saw talent. He saw a second-generation superstar in Randy Orton. And he put his trust on him. But that was a 22, 23-year-old kid. At 24, he became the youngest world heavyweight champion in WWE history by defeating Chris Benoit at SummerSlam for the World Championship. If WWE didn't see anything in him, if you think WWE didn't see anything in him, I mean, then you were just blind, because he was Intercontinental Champion. He was clearly the number 2 guy in Evolution at that time. And then The Undertaker himself wanted Randy Orton to end the streak at WrestleMania 21 in 2005. And Randy Orton, like I said, like everyone said, he was a dick. He was an asshole back then. But even him, and as immature as he was at 24, 25 back then, he did not want to end that streak at WrestleMania. He respected The Undertaker and the business too much to do so, and he didn't. And then throughout the rest of 2005, he had the feud of his life, the rivalry of his life. That rivalry holds a special place in my wrestling heart, in my heart itself, because that rivalry got me attached to professional wrestling. I was a fan of Rey Mysterio. I was a fan of John Cena. I was a fan of Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero, and Batista. That was all good. But seeing the bad guy that Randy Orton was, the dick, and then having The Undertaker with his theatrics, everything that happened on SmackDown during that entire tenure, that, I think, made me a professional wrestling fan through and through for the rest of my life. And in 2007, he got backstage heat. I think he failed WWE's wellness policy, I believe. And he got suspended. And I believe the only reason he wasn't fired was because, well, his last name. And I firmly believe that if John Cena hadn't gotten injured at the tail end of 2007, that Randy Orton would not have become WWE Champion anytime soon. But circumstances played into that fact, and WWE needed somebody to step up. And they needed a bad guy to step up, because Triple H was the babyface. And Shawn Michaels didn't want to be a bad guy, and Shawn Michaels didn't want to be world champion. So there you go. You had Randy Orton, as immature as possible, become WWE Champion. And then 2009, Randy Orton. My God, that guy was money. 2009, Randy Orton. You want to talk about 2005? 2009, Randy Orton. Everybody knew Randy Orton was the biggest heel in professional wrestling. And nobody debated it. Nobody cared if they thought somebody else was a bigger heel than Randy Orton. He had a legacy. He had the look. He had the wrestling acumen to get over and become WWE Champion. And now what he's doing with RK Bro, the wrestling experience acquired, the wrestling savvy. He's doing everything in his power to get this feud, his rivalry, his opponent, and his partner Riddle over, because he damn well knows he doesn't need to get over. He's already right there. But with that said, Randy Orton is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's currently about to be 42 years old, I believe. The guy's in the best shape of his life. And he's putting on matches, like I said, like he hasn't in the past. So hopefully, if it's up to me, and if he keeps his momentum and his body and his career going, I wouldn't mind seeing him retire until 2030. I mean, he's just that damn good. And he's always been synonymous to the wrestling business, to the wrestling industry, no matter what. But with that said, what are your favorite wrestling memories? Because I know there's a lot of fans out there that love Randy Orton, and I doubt that there's any wrestling fans out there that hate Randy Orton or dislike Randy Orton, the person, the man, the wrestler, the performer. So with that said, what is your favorite memory? What's your favorite match so far in Randy Orton's career? What do you think he's doing? What do you think of the work he's doing currently with Riddle on WWE TV? Do you think he might be a main event player and a perfect challenger for the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns in the very near future? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comments section below.